The 2025 IG Wealth Management Financial Confidence Index exceeded the historical average for the first time since 2021. Now, to share more on the findings of the index, we're joined now by Head of Financial Planning with IG Wealth Management, Christine van Cauwenberghe. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Now, this is important stuff, so I want to make sure I ask you the right questions. What factors contributed to the rise in the 2025 Financial Confidence Index to 52?
Well, the Financial Confidence Index is made up of a number of factors, and some of them related to the general economy, sort of macro indicators. Those actually went down.
Okay.
People do not have a huge amount of confidence in what's happening generally. But there are a number of factors that relate to someone's personal situation, so their personal financial literacy and how confident they feel in it being able to make payments. Those factors went up.
Okay.
So people obviously feel that their personal situation is perhaps more in control, or they're taking more proactive steps to, take care of their finances. But that was the factor that made the overall factor go up.
And that's very important. I know that's something I try to practice more and more myself. And we kind of addressed this already, but why are Canadians rather confident in their personal finances despite that lower trust in the broader economy?
Well, when I looked at the score historically, it took a major dip in the beginning of 2022, right when interest rates spiked up and the economy took a bit of a hit.
Makes sense.
And I think at that point, everyone, panicked a bit, and what's going to happen when my mortgage is renewed, and there was a lot of concern about increased prices. But since that time, the confidence factor has been going up because I think people are now factoring that in.
Sure.
So they know prices are going to be higher, but perhaps their wages are also higher. Maybe they're making different choices. Maybe they're not extending their credit as much as they might have when interest rates were lower. Interest rates have settled a bit. They're still a little bit higher than they were before, but I think it's just people now know what to expect, and they've factored that in, and it's just calmed down a little bit.
And how do the findings maybe differ between groups, say between women or Indigenous peoples or even Quebec residents for that matter?
Well, it was interesting to me because some of the groups that sometimes have had a little bit less confidence, so let's say women or Indigenous persons, they're now starting to equalize, which is a really fantastic thing to see. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're getting access to more information. I think that financial advisors, like the industry, is now reflective of who they are. So perhaps they wanted to speak with an advisor who's from their cultural background or their, so I think if they feel that they have more access to information, can take control over their situation and feel more educated, their confidence level will go up. And it's equalizing, which is great to see.
And that piece about advice and where they like to get it from, I'll ask you quickly, human advice versus AI-driven tools, what are your findings there?
Interestingly enough, we have more access to information online and artificial intelligence than ever. But there's so much information out there, people don't know what to trust. Right. So there's actually more interest in speaking to a human. And I think it's like when you're thinking about your personal health, you can go online, do as much research as you want, but when you're making that final decision, you want to speak with a doctor.
Absolutely. So, that makes sense. Christine, thanks so much.